My mom and I recently returned home from a trip to Florida with 29 members of our family. Keep listening to hear how we used points to offset some of the costs of this trip. Welcome to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. We are three moms who've discovered how to leverage credit card welcome offers to get hundreds of thousands of dollars of travel expenses for nearly free. We've used credit card points and miles to take vacations to places like Hawaii, Paris, Greece, Maldives, Japan, and so much more. And the best part, we each still have 800 plus credit scores. Imagine being able to take the vacation of your dreams for nearly free. It's totally possible, and we're here to show you how. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Pam, Alex's mom.
And I'm Jess. Let's talk points. Today, we are talking all about Pam and Alex's recent family trip to Florida with 29 of their family members, including 17 of Pam's 21 grandchildren. And I just want to start by saying I don't even know if I know 29 people I could possibly invite on a trip. So kudos to you both for making this trip happen and for saving. I know the entire thing was not covered by points, but you put a big dent in a lot of it thanks to points and miles. So, Pam, I know that you were sort of the mastermind behind this trip. So, tell us how this trip came to be.
Well, with so many family members, I have 5 children and they have spouses. My son has a girlfriend. We have 21 grandchildren. It has been a long time since we've all gotten together. We seem to do a lot of trips where we've got 2 or 3 families. That's all great, but my heart wanted us to all be together. My heart wanted every one of us, and we got pretty close. So we have 33 altogether, and 29 were able to be there. So we were missing 4 grandchildren because of other commitments, things that they couldn't come. But, there was a lot of us there. We made it a priority in 2023 to plan a big family trip for the summer of 2024. And we started talking about where to go. We've gone as a family to Bear Lake before. We like that a lot. But we've also been talking about going to Florida. I think Alex's boys, they have had Florida on their mind for forever, and they kept talking about they wanted to go to Florida. My daughter Kelly had been to the Destin area. I think they call it Area 30A.
30A.
30A, yeah. And so she'd been there and she loved it, has told us how much she loved it. And so we started looking. I thought, maybe we'll check that out. And we started looking around Destin area. And I found an amazing Airbnb near Miramar Beach. I mean, it was it was as amazing on in real life as it looked like on paper. It was basically 2 huge homes with a pool in between. There were 2 outdoor kitchens. It was huge. We had so much space. I believe that there were 11 bedrooms. We had beds for every single person. And I mean, it was incredible. We never felt crowded, and yet we were all together and had so much fun. So this is a VRBO. When you have a huge group, obviously that becomes easier if everybody chips in, it becomes cheaper. This wasn't a cheap place. This was an expensive place. And it was just something that we were willing to do because we hadn't done something in a long time. And because we were going to use credit card points and miles for so much of the rest of the vacation. Like I said, we loved this place and we were able to get 29 people in beds comfortably, not much sharing a bath because almost every room came with an in-suite bathroom also. So it was an amazing spot. So Alex is going to tell us a little bit about flights because some of the ways that we saved on this trip is before we went to the Airbnb, we went to the Hyatt Place Panama City Beach. We all were there for 2 nights. We all used points and miles for that. And then most everyone used points and miles for their flights. And so basically our major expenses were the VRBO and food. And like I said, this place was steps from the beach. We walked about a block and we're on the beach. So, Alex, tell us about flights.
Okay, so shocker, we flew Southwest. We paid 26,000 points round trip per person. And when I first booked these flights, as my mom had said before, we started planning this trip a year in advance. And so as soon as those flights became available, I knew I had to book them. And it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, if it's expensive, we'll just go somewhere else. It's like, no, we have 29 people committed to this. Like, I've got to find a way to get us there and it not cost us a fortune. And so when I first booked our flights, they were a lot of points. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is taking up so much of my points balance from Southwest, but I just got to do it. And I kept watching, and thankfully the points ended up dropping. I think we paid maybe 17,000 points one way and 9,000 points the other. So 26,000 points round trip per person was really, really good. And I was really happy with that. As soon as I think it was our return flight that dropped down to 9,000 points per person, I thought, okay, I can stop looking. This isn't going to go cheaper than this. So that was really great. We flew Salt Lake City to Denver and then to Panama City Beach. What was really funny is the night before, my mom was like, oh, what time do you guys fly out? And I said, oh, we fly out this time. When do you fly out? She's like, oh, I fly at the same time. And I just 100% thought, oh, she's flying United because she always flies United. And then I don't remember how we figured it out. I was like, oh, we'll be there at like the same time. You guys should come.
I think I said,
Oh, you were like, oh, you said, I think we're probably on the same flight because you knew
yeah,
we would be flying Southwest, but you didn't know
yes,
we were going to have a layover in Denver.
exactly. And we were flying Southwest because United didn't have a direct connection, I believe, or the timing wasn't right. Something
Yeah.
wasn't working. And so I said, and it was just so inexpensive to go on Southwest. I go, okay, we're doing Southwest.
So I just did not expect that my mom would be flying Southwest, like my mom and my dad, without it being us planning this together. So I had said, oh, let's meet at the Capital One Venture Lounge in Denver. And because we both have Venture X cards, my husband has one. And so we got our whole family in the lounge, which was awesome. But what was so funny is we were talking about it in the lounge. If we hadn't known we were on the same flight, we would have been like, okay, well, bye. I got to head to my gate. Okay, bye. I got to head to my gate. And then we'd end up at the gate and we'd see each other. And we'd be like, wait, what? And so, anyways, it just was really funny that we had no clue when we were on the same flight. We caught it before boarding.
Exactly. And we were able to use another benefit of credit card points and miles by meeting at the lounge and having, some food there. Stocked up on their cookies. They have amazing cookies there. And they have my favorite thing there is their chocolate covered raisins. Alex was joking. She says she thinks
You guys, I was laughing so hard because of the amount of treats that she had. I was like, well, you're just getting your annual fee back in chocolate covered raisins.
I was dying at the pictures you took of, like, her with, like, the bag full of raisins. I'm like, "Hey, with the price of raisins these days, you probably did get a big chunk of that annual fee back just from that bag of chocolate-covered raisins."
Hey, I go there almost every time, even if I'm gonna go to another lounge, because I love those chocolate-covered raisins so much, and I heard someone else getting them. They go, "These are the best chocolate-covered raisins." I go, "I know, aren't they?" They seriously, you bet you if as long as you like raisins, they are the best chocolate-covered raisins ever.
So others in my family flew Southwest. We had some flying on United. Most of us flew into Panama City Beach. The airport code is ECP. That was about 20 minutes from the Hyatt Place, Panama City Beach, where we stayed the first 2 nights, and about an hour away from the VRBO we stayed at. You can also fly into VPS, which was closer to the VRBO, and we had some of the family members. Not everybody came to the Hyatt Place. We had some college age grandkids who just met us at the house, and they flew into VPS.
I actually left out of VPS. When we were through, we left out of VPS, and it was really nice because it
Oh,
was
nice.
so close. It's a smaller airport, but, it
Was it
was very
similar
convenient.
to the one we flew into?
I felt it like it was much smaller.
Even smaller?
I felt like it was.
Yeah, I mean, I loved flying. I love flying at a small airport. It's like we rented a car there and we literally got off the plane, Mitch was picking up the luggage at the carousel. I was getting the rental car just in the same hallway. And then we crossed the road and got our car. And it was like so easy. It was so funny though, when we were driving away, we were like, why was taking my parents so long? Anyways, we see you guys coming by, and they were riding a golf cart to the rental car lot. And we're like, they're taking longer to get to the rental car lot from this golf cart than if they just walked. But in your defense, you guys didn't know where it was. And someone came up and said, hey, do you want to ride? So
Yeah, he wanted something to do.
yeah. But I really like those little airports like that. They're just so easy to navigate and all of that. So, like I said, we stayed our first 2 nights at the Hyatt Place Panama City Beach. So, we had the VRBO for 5 days, and I was thinking, okay, we're going to be really close to this Hyatt Place. We've heard a lot about it. Let's extend our trip and go for a full week. I used 18,000 points to book 1 night, and then a Hyatt free night certificate to book the others. Since I booked, it then became a Category 5 hotel, so you won't be able to use free night certificates there anymore. Pricing is 17,000 to 23,000 points per night. What's really cool is every single one of us. So what happened was I'll go back to that. My mom and I were like, hey, let's go a couple days early. We can check out this hotel, give it a review. And then slowly each of our siblings were like, hey, I'm thinking of going early. And we're like, oh, come stay at the Hyatt Place. So lo and behold, all of the adults and most of the kids spent 1 to 2 nights at the Hyatt Place Panama City Beach too. So that was really fun to have everybody there as well. And just so cool that we had booked 8 rooms total between all of us, and all 8 of those rooms were booked on points. So gotta give some props to my siblings for doing a good job on their points and miles earning and redeeming.
Pam, would you have spotted them some points if they needed them, or are you protective of your Hyatt points?
I hate to say this. It sounds like I'm a bad mom, but when it comes to my Hyatt points, I'm pretty protective. I certainly would have loaned someone some, and if they didn't have any at all, but I prefer to say that I teach them well, and that, that's better. And let's just say that, to be honest, in this particular situation, we didn't split that VRBO. Mom and dad picked up the cost of that. So I definitely did feel like I needed to cover the Hyatt stay on top of that. So
Did you have all the grandkids in your room at the Hyatt Place Panama City Beach?
we did have one. We always have Alex's Kai thinks that the only way that he travels is to be in our room, and we like it like that.
Well, yeah, like we got there and my mom says, Kai, where are you sleeping tonight? And he says, I want to sleep with you. So, I mean, he'd be fine staying in our room, but it's kind of their little tradition now.
Yeah, it is. It's really cute.
So the Hyatt Place Panama City Beach, like I said, was one that we've heard a lot about. There's not really other Hyatt places that I know of that are like this, where you get a beachfront location. So that was really cool. There's a lot of little amenities or perks there. One of those, which your resort fee pays for, but luckily when you're staying on points, you don't have to pay resort fees at Hyatt hotels. So that includes, though, 2 chairs and an umbrella at the beach, and they will set those up for you. You also get free breakfast. The downside of, while we were there were double reds flags. So that means you cannot get in the water. You can actually get fined $500 if you do get in the water while it's double reds. And before we had gone, we'd heard that there had been some drownings and things like that. So definitely really scary, and you want to follow those rules. We were like, you guys can touch your toe in, and that's about it, because it's just some serious stuff. So that was kind of a bummer that we didn't get to enjoy the beach there. We did like walk along it and all of that. We built a sandcastle. We sat out there still, but I feel like it would be a different experience if we could have been in the water, boogie boarding and things like that.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. But I do have to say, I was really impressed with the amount of chairs and umbrellas they have. It is a huge beach area, and that was pretty impressive. It was really nice, and it's a beautiful beach, and it's the cutest, for a Hyatt place. It was the nicest Hyatt place I've ever seen. The decor was so beachy, it was pretty cute.
So while we couldn't use the beach or get it, we could use the beach. While we couldn't get in the ocean, they do have a fun pool. It's a nice large pool with a lazy river in it. It's not a huge lazy river, but the kids really loved it. We spent so much time at the pool. They have a little like bar down there where you can order food and get poolside food. It was fine. I think it's like great for the kids and it was convenient, but a lot of times for us adults, we would DoorDash and, like, order something, have it delivered, or my husband would sometimes go out and pick up food and bring it back. But that is nice and convenient to have that just right there available.
I would also say, Alec, that there weren't a lot of we got down there early to get chairs. I didn't feel like there was as many chairs as there could be down there, so we were kind of fighting with chairs, so that we would have them. Of course, we were a large group too.
Yeah, we were a very large group. Yeah, and one thing to note about this property too is it doesn't if you are a Hyatt Globalist, they don't give you, like, an automatic room upgrade. You have to pay to get the room upgrade, some things like that. It's got some different little rules, but it's a great location, lots of food places nearby, shopping, activities. There was a Dave& and Buster's that we went to. There was, like, this big Ferris wheel. There was some ropes course, mini golf, all sorts of things. A little like kind of like a little fun center amusement park type place too. So lots and lots of stuff to do around there. My takeaway after staying there was this was a really great Hyatt place and a really great place if you are local or you can drive there or have a little staycation or something like that. I wouldn't fly across the country coming from Salt Lake City to Florida just to stay at this hotel. But I do think if you live closer by that it'd be a fun place to go for a weekend. So that was kind of my takeaway. I just feel I have a hard time spending that many points for a Hyatt place too. In my mind, it's just like a mental block maybe for me that I'm like Hyatt places they should be category 4s and I should be use free night certificates. If I'm staying at a category 5, I'm like, well, I might as well just pay 5,000 more points and stay at a resort like Hyatt Regency Huntington Beach, which is a really nicer, more resort feel. But like I said, if I lived closer, I would totally stay there again.
Well, I also think that it was really packed when we were there. We're right there in the middle of summer, and you've just got so many people, so many children running around, that, the breakfast was a little better by Hyatt Place standards, but you could hardly get in there for breakfast to find a seat. You're going out by the pool, you're trying to find a seat somewhere. It got really congested. I think that that made it not seem, you know, as desirable to go there again. But my daughter, who has been there in the fall before, when it's not as busy, she said it was a completely different feel because she had been there with us this time, she'd been there the other time, and she had raved about it. And we have lots of readers who have raved about it. So I think going there at a different time, I think would make a huge difference for people. So, I'm going to talk just a little bit more about the house that we stayed in. Like I said, it was an amazing house. It was expensive. This particular VRBO was a Vacasa property, and that means you can book them with Wyndham rewards. Now, it wouldn't make much sense in this with our property because Vacasa charges 15K to 30K points per night per bedroom based on the cash rate. So you would be paying up to $250 per bedroom. If you pay up to $250 per bedroom, it costs you 15K rewards. Up to $500 per bedroom, it's going to cost you 30K. And over $500 per bedroom per night, it's not even bookable with points. This wasn't something that was even something that we would have considered. But if you're going to look for a Vacasa property, and let me tell you, I saw a lot of Vacasa properties in this area. Vacasa signs were all over the place. And if you're going with your family, it is something that you certainly could do and might make sense for you.
No, I was just gonna say sometimes I know a trick that some people use is like they will find a house that is technically just 1 bedroom, like, maybe it has 1 bedroom with 2 beds, and then it also has a loft, and
Right.
there's a bed up there. That is technically considered a one-bedroom property, so if you were able to find a property like that, could potentially sleep 4 to 6 people, and it was up to $250 per bedroom per night, that's only 15,000 points per night, could make sense, but totally agree with you for 29 people, Wyndham Rewards are not the way to go for a house the size of the one that you got.
Yeah, not at all, but it does. It absolutely makes sense if you're going there with your family to look for Vacasa properties in that area. There aren't a lot of hotels in the area. Obviously, we didn't want to split up like we did at in Panama City. We wanted to all be together and have that time together, and so we were looking for a big house. If you are looking for a hotel in the area, there is a Hilton Sandestin, and it is a beachfront property. That would be something that would be something worth looking into. There are tons of vacation rentals, not just, Vacasa, but people are renting out their homes, Airbnb, VRBO. And my daughter Kelly, who has gone there several times with friends, that's what she's done. They've split the costs of those rentals. It's made it much more affordable, probably as cheap as staying, in a hotel with cash. One of the things that, when I've done things like this, like staying somewhere that I can't use points and miles on, I've done a couple different things. One of the things is to open up a bank account bonus I did that a lot at the beginning of traveling, and I would open up them and I just put those bank account bonuses in a little account that I would use for travel when I couldn't use credit card points and miles. And so I've done most of the ones you can do at this point, and some of them will only let you do it once. But that is a great way to pay for rental property or for other things that you can't use with credit card points and miles.
For anybody that's wondering, like, what do we mean by bank account bonuses? Basically, the banks occasionally will offer cash bonuses for opening either a checking or savings account with them. Sometimes you can open both and you'll get even a bigger bonus. And so what you need to do is you just open the account, park some money in that account for X amount of days. Usually it's about 90 days. And then they give you that cash bonus. There's like a minimum time frame you have to leave the money in there, but then you can take the money out, close the account, and you just made, $500 or something like that, or up to we've had ones, I think like the most I ever did was maybe $1,000 bonus. So they really vary, but it's a really easy way and it's not a hard pull on your credit. And so it's a really easy way to earn some extra money to go towards some of those things my mom was mentioning that, you can't really use your points for.
And I think we have a post about that people could check out to learn more about
Yeah,
it.
we can include that in the show notes.
Right. And Doctor of Credit is a great source of what bank account bonuses are currently going on. Another thing that you can do is you could use the Capital One Purchase Eraser. So I presently have about 200,000 Capital One Venture miles. So if I had paid for my Vacasa property with my Capital One Venture, I could have erased $2,000 of the cost. Now, that's a great idea for some people, and that may work out and be exactly what you want to do so that you can get a trip for nearly free. For me, I would much rather use those miles for towards business class travel since that's what I do most of the time, where I can probably get maybe 3 tickets in business class that would cost, 4 to $6,000, and so it's just a better, I'm getting more bang for my buck. So but it's definitely something that you can do, and it's definitely an option when you are trying to stay somewhere, a vacation rental, and if you want to go to Florida. But I just wanna say that this was a great trip, that we had so much fun together. Everybody got along great. We laughed, we played. We went to the beach. It was, so worth it. Each of us Ubered and did DoorDash or Grubhub or different things like that. We used our credit cards, benefits that we had for those type of things there, saved money that. We all earned a lot of credit card points and miles because none of us were paying cash. So we all got a, healthy stack of credit card points and miles in earnings. And so it isn't always, although with each of the three of us, oftentimes we're using mainly credit card points and miles for our trips. But there are times like this when you've got a huge group or when, you all want to stay together where it just doesn't work out. And so then you kind of reduce your costs of what you would pay, or you use some of the benefits to make it easier. And so, it just all goes back to what we always say, you do what works for best for you. And that's the thing that we love so much about credit card points and miles is that there are so many ways to use them. There's so many ways to use the benefits. And this is just one example of how we happen to do it.
Well, I keep asking Pam to adopt me, but until she agrees, I'm just going to have to live vicariously through these recaps. We hope this episode inspired you to take the trip out of the group chat and make those trips you've been talking about a reality. And thanks to Points and Miles, it's much easier to make it happen. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to rate the show and leave us a review. We appreciate your support so much. Thanks so much for listening to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button from wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Want to start jet setting even faster? Follow the links in the show notes to learn about everything we discussed in today's episode. And to stay connected and follow along, follow us on Instagram at Travel Mom Squad. We can't wait to see where in the world Points and Miles take you.